It's Dr. Hale Pringle, and tonight I'm going to be talking about Webinar Ignition and how to do webinars with Webinar Ignition. Webinar Ignition is a standard plugin. I'm writing an ebook on this. I just went to plugins, just like any other plugin, said add new. The website actually had me download a copy of it. So I did the normal everyday, upload it, activate it, and if we go look at my plugins and look at install plugins, I have down here, just like any other plugins, there is Webinar Ignition right here. And it actually says there's a new version, and that just came out today, so I haven't upgraded to the newest and the greatest. The first time, and it'll show up right down here in your screen. And the first time that I clicked on this, it did not come up with the screen you're seeing here. It came up with a box that said, give me your name, your activation key, and submit. And that was the first time I had a little bit of problem. It didn't want to do anything. I deactivated a couple plugins, and they sent an upgrade, and suddenly it worked. From then on, my screen was blank because I had not created any. Since then, I've created the JV giveaway, which is still out there, active and live. And I created this one, and I created a test one. I'm going to go ahead and go into the test one so you can see. What we will do is it comes up with a screen that looks like this, where we fill in the name, the date, the time, and I'm going to, as we do it, put in this as a demo so we can see where that carries through. And here I'm just going to say Dr. Hale so we can see where that carries through. And we'll set the date as, we certainly don't want June. We'll say January 30th at 8 p.m. We're going to save, and that's kind of locked in. Now, I will note that when we were originally creating one, let me go back out here to the create. One of the options you have when you're creating a brand new one is it will show you your previous ones, and you can clone one. So one has all the nice settings that you want, and all you really need to do is change the title here or there and a date. Then it's a whole lot easier just to clone it, and it fills in everything. I'm creating live webinars. If you create an evergreen webinar, then it never asks for a date and a time. You just record it, and it goes up as a replay. Now, their replays actually let you say right now, or it's scheduled Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. However you want to set that up. So you can set it up as if it's live, or just set it up as soon as they opt in, they're watching it. So I'm going to go back and look at the test one that I've already started. And actually, I had filled in very, very little of that test one. Actually, nothing but the name. So we'll go back to here. Right here, as soon as I gave it a name, test webinar, it came up with a link, test webinar live. And that link is immediately, there is something that would happen if we went there. There's a countdown, and it would actually go to a demo sign-up screen, because all those things have been pre-populated, and so those are live And let's see, did I get the, yep. So I have saved this right here is what they call the master switch. Right now we're in, countdown mode. We would switch this to live when it's time to actually make it live, switch it to replay when we're done, and if we have tell it that the replay is going to shut down at a certain date, Saturday at midnight, then we can go and switch it to closed after that day has come by. Right here, we can look at the pages in advance. This is the login page. So we can see how that's going to look. And I mean, we haven't configured it yet, but that's how it looks to start with. We can look at the thank you page. And again, they have a default there. And the countdown page. This webinar starts, This is the page where the actual webinar, this is what people will see when they're actually running the webinar, except this will be filled in. And the replay page, in this case, it says it's over. So those are some of the pages that are out there. Let's go ahead and look and see, and we're not going to do all of this, but you pick one of the options of how the sign-up page is going to look. And so one of the things that I did concern me just a little bit was that they don't tell you you can turn off the video on any one of these. You don't have to have a little video because they all look like I need a video. And if I choose this one and save and go back and look at the registration page, it looks different than it did a minute ago. All right. So this one is different than what we saw just a second ago. And one of the few problems I have here, which you just noticed, is it has a tendency to show us the sign-up page and then immediately shift over to the page as if we had filled it in, because this is the congratulations, you've signed up, and here's your link, and those types of, but we can choose which, and they say they're going to add several more, but you're not stuck with the one version that some other systems have. Now, the registration page, interestingly enough, you can translate, these are the days, the months. If you want to put those in Swedish, you certainly can. Each of these has a little down arrow and an up arrow. We can open them up and close them up. Do you want a banner? I usually put a banner and put the banner from my blog. I'm not going to do that today, but it's one of the reasons that you would do a clone, because I already have done that in the others. Change the background. A lot of this you can see is pre-populated with stuff we entered before. And since I actually closed this one, the how we crush it, I shouldn't have ever saved it without filling out that first page. Live and learn. You have, more than some other systems, the ability here to put a free offer right on the webinar page and a buy button in the replay, so you can actually sell things. Most of the places where there's going to be something to type, you will have a standard WordPerfect editor that looks just the same. We have the bold, we have setting headers, so we can change most anything we want using things we're familiar with. I'm not going to change a lot of these right now. This is the one I want to just show you because it is an important one. I use Aweber. They have instructions here. To me, they left out just a little bit, but it certainly got me close enough to finish it. I'm going to go up to Aweber, and I'm going to presume that I have created a form. I create a group for each webinar, and this is the WI for Webinar Ignition, so the Web Ignition, and that group has some emails, and I created a form, so we'll go look at that form. I added phone, which is simply over here, add a new field, name it phone, make it a text field, because I feel like if I'm doing a webinar and people showed up and left part way through or showed up and didn't buy, I want to talk to them on the phone, and if I lose a few people from that, so be it. I'd rather have a slightly lower number of people I can talk to, and so that's what I do. So I'm going to go to, and it doesn't matter what this looks like as long as it has the fields in it, and it's not worth any time and effort to pretty it up. We're going to name it, and this is where the instructions are a little off. This list that I created, I told it was a single opt-in. So when I created the list on the third screen of the opt-in list creation, I said, no, I don't want the double opt-in. That means right here, I need a custom page. So after they opt in, I want to send them to the confirmed page. And it's exactly the same as the live screen was. It just has the word confirmed out at the end. And I do the same thing, and I almost always do the same thing on my already subscribed page, because if people want to sign up twice, I don't want it to tell them, you're already subscribed. No, you can't have this ebook. You're already subscribed. If they've lost the link and want to do it again, Aweber will not let them go into the list twice, so it's fine. So you give them exactly the same link. Now, they mention do not use the Facebook integration there because it will foul things up. We want the raw HTML code, and we are going to copy this, and we're going to go back to because right here it says insert the raw HTML, which we're going to do. And at that point, some things populate. Right here, this is not really set up right yet, so I'm going to say, click that, and it fills those two in. I don't really need the last name field. I'm not going to do that. The phone field, I do need, so I click that one. Got a couple of 3 not maps here. So I've got the name, and I'm going to attach it to name. I've got email. Need to attach it to email. And I've got phone, and this is the name I gave my phone field, which was phone optional. So now we have connected the Aweber form, the guts of it, and we're going to do the save. And now if somebody signs up in this little webinar page, they will be sent to that list, and they will be sent to the confirmation page. It's really not that hard once you look at it. You just got 2 or 3 little steps that you need to do. All right. I'm going to go back up here. The thank you page. There is a headline. We saw that. The congrats, you're signed up. And below is everything you need to know about the event. We can change those. We can change the language. We can do whatever we want to with them. The defaults tend to work pretty well. So we have the show video. We can have the video or we can have an image. The webinar URL is something we are going to talk about in a little while. Nothing really much else that we need to worry about here, except this last one. They have a section on their form that says, send me a text message. And you can turn it off, or you can sign up for a free account with a company called Twilio. And in the ebook, I'll give you the screens to do that. It's very simple. It's free. I understand they will charge me like 2 cents per message if people start sending a lot of messages. I can handle that. And I'd rather, if people want that message to come to them to remind them of my webinar, I like to have them on my webinar, and I'm certainly willing to pay a couple of cents to have them there. So whatever I've done, I'm going to save. The live webinar, it's to me, a little strange until I thought about it. The countdown page, where it says, you're visiting the awesome webinar and it starts soon. Didn't understand why it was over here instead of in the getting set up. But the reason it's over here is it's only going to happen on a live webinar. You're not going to have a countdown if it's an evergreen webinar. So I would suggest you edit this to put something about the title and what you're going to be learning in this webinar. So instead of the thing just saying, oh, you've arrived here, register for it, it's a great webinar and it's going to start soon, you need to give them a little bit of marketing stuff there. Okay, you can translate the page and do lots of other things there. This one is critical. The live embed code. There's a place here, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I just want you to know we are using a live streaming service like virtually everybody's going to use Google Hangouts on Air. And the way we attach the Hangout on Air to Webinar Ignition is by embedding, webinars on air, Hangouts on Air, they don't really exist until you fire them up. So knowing exactly what the link to it is a week in advance, you can't do that. But here we can get a whole page set up with a countdown and whatever, but it's really not attached to anything. And then at the last moment, we start the webinar, we get the embed code, and we put it in here, and that hooks it up to our screen. And that's how the Hangouts on Air work with almost everybody. But if you're not used to Hangouts on Air, you wouldn't know that. But we need to definitely keep track of where that screen is, because we're going to need to come back to it when we get ready to actually start the webinar. There is on the replay the same type of link, place to put that embed code. So we're going to do that one too. And the last area is the notifications, and these are your emails, which there is swipe copy here. It's actually going to get sent out from here if you make it work, where it's got the date and the title and the time and your name, and it will actually be sent by this system. How to use 3 different companies, and I was using Mandrill, which gives you like 10,000 emails a month for free, which is a number of webinars with a number of people on them. So I don't expect I'm going to need to pay from them for a long time. They want some codes and an API key, and then it gets set up. Since I have a list in Aweber, it is not that big a deal to swipe those emails and put them in there and just broadcast them. Make one of them there's one that they get immediately when they sign up. Thank you for signing up. Here's your information. So put that as a follow-up email that happens immediately, and set the others as broadcasts, and set them their times relative to the time I've scheduled, and they will go out just as if they came out of this system. A little bit of extra work, but actually in some ways easier, because if you're using Aweber or GetResponse, you know how to send a broadcast email, and it's not that big a deal. So the last menu option, the advanced setting, I didn't see anything in there that any of us would be interested in. So the setup is really pretty straightforward. And on each page, and I probably should have shown you this, it's got preview the registration page. So we could go back to the very front, or we could click right there and take a look at it. So let's just change one. The thank you page is the easiest one to do. I'm going to say this is a sample. Congratulations. I'm going to save it. I'm going to preview it. And this one now says sample congratulations. And I can change this. I can change here. I mean, we do want to change. Here's what you're going to learn. And this material here. So you want to tailor these, but in each one of them, you can do it and look at it. Do it and look at it. Do it and look at it till you're quite happy with it. This is where I was mentioning before, get text message reminder. It will ask them for the phone, and if you have set up the Twilio account and attached it to your system, the text message will automatically be sent to them an hour before the webinar. I'm going to go the next step and say, show the live console. And the live console shows you how many people are viewing it, how many have registered, and if you've put any of those buy buttons, how many people have actually ordered from it. They have a very simple Q&A system. It's simple to the point that the way the answers are done is you email them. That's particularly bad if you're using like Firefox and Gmail, because it pops the Gmail that's being sent right in this same screen. And as soon as you send it, it closes this screen. So you have to open the live console after every one you send. They're working on a better email system or comments section. Right here, we would click to start the webinar and the Hangout. And I'm not going to click it because I've already got one running. Here I could look. Let me go ahead and show you. Let me close this one, and I'll show you the live one, because I have one open to drag it over. It's over on the other screen. This is the live one. You can see that there were 17. I'm not sure why it's not showing us any, but manage registrants. I can actually see who registered for it. Some people did it multiple times. If they have any questions, like here, and like I said, when I click on one, then it'll create a Gmail, and off they'll go. And this is a message that I can send out immediately, or I can go back to here. This is actually a very nice, because it not only shows you who's live, but who watched the replay. And again, you have order buttons here, which you do not have in some other systems, so it'll show you if the person ordered or not. So that's the live. Now, I can't show you the actual screen, but what I can show you is a screen print that I did of the Hangouts. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the features of the Hangout. Once it's started, well, we haven't really started the broadcast yet, but at this point, we're getting ready to start the broadcast. So I'm going to show you the various features here. These are actually all covered in the ebook that I've written, so you can see them one at a time. Here's the chat window. This chat goes between multiple presenters. The world doesn't see what you say here, but it gives the presenters a way to talk to each other, tell them if their sound's not right or if they're not showing the right screen or whatever. Here's where we grab a particular screen or application that's running, and I can share that with other people. I'm going to turn the screen share off. It'll come back to me. Q&A is something I'm hoping to get working. It's something that you have to do first. You have to do this before you start the broadcast. The questions should show up over here. People should be able to answer the questions. It's turned on, or ask questions, and you'll see them here. The really neat thing about this is if you click on a question, when it's rendered and put out into YouTube, people will actually be able to see the questions and click on one, and the video will jump to the spot where you answered that question. And I think that's very neat. Here's where you can capture somebody's image, one of your co-presenters, or what's on the screen at the moment. Cameraman allows you to change which camera is live. So as guests join, hide their video and audio. So you can set it up to where if you're presenting something and other presenters come in late, or you're having a meeting and people come in late, that they don't get to jump in and start talking immediately. This is also good for coughing indoors, slamming, and dogs barking. Keeps that kind of stuff outside your, you don't get as much interruption. The Hangout toolbox. This one is important because right here, you can turn this on, and you can see it puts that, and I can put a tagline here. And when I turn it off and turn it back on, now that appears backwards to us, but the people viewing the webinar see it correctly. The control room lets me modify my volume. If there are actual multiple people here, I can control the volume of any one of the other presenters. Can mute somebody or unmute them. Very powerful for when you have multiple people in the going on in the webinar. Facebook we're not going to cover at the moment. This little 3 dots is where you can go out and get more applications. I mean, I've added the toolbox out of this. So here's some other applications that are out there and available. And this is where I got the toolbox. And so you need to add a couple of those things to your system. Now down here you see the dots going up. That means my audio is right. There's this little question mark. Get some help, a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, and you can send feedback to the folks doing the creating hangouts on air. Up here, we can invite people, we can mute ourselves, we can turn our camera off. It's called the bandwidth, so we can actually modify how much bandwidth we're using if there's a problem. This is one of the more important ones. This is where you change which microphone and which camera you're using. So if you're not getting those little green dots because your audio isn't working, this is where you can change which microphone you want to use, and which, if you're not hearing anything, you can change the earphones. This is where you hang up and leave. Over here we can see we're off the air, and whatever, for example, if I go back to Q&A, that's what shows up over in this panel. Right here where it says you, this is going to be, if there were several of us, a picture of me, a picture of the next person, and a picture of the next person, and the picture of the next person. If I click on one of the pictures and that blue box goes around it, that person maintains control. So rather than bouncing back and forth multiple people, which you may have seen Hangouts do, when somebody coughs or a door or the keyboard creaks where it doesn't flicker over, this allows you to control that one person maintains control of the screen. Right here, and in a lot of the videos and in a lot of the helps that are out there, this used to be up in here. This is where we click on it, and that embed link that I was talking about, we're going to copy and paste this back into, I'm going to open this up and go to live webinar, the embed code, and that's where we would put this right there. Then we'd also open up the replay and paste the same thing right there. That's how we connect this. That's how we connect the Hangout on Air that we're running with Webinar Ignition. When we're ready, we would push the Start Broadcast button, and it would actually start. Now, as soon as we put the embed code into Webinar Ignition, people watching the screen will get a standby, things are about to start. And once we put the Start Broadcast, then our screen, and turn this one to live. So we're going to embed the code and make it live, and then our screen will actually, so let's click this and make it live, and then we're going to look at the webinar page. So this is more or less what it looks like. And remember, I said it will be people out in front, people who are watching the webinar. That bottom third is what they call it, will be facing forward instead of reversed. All right, back in the Hangout. Those are most of the options that we need, because we could start this. I would be in control. Q&A would be up. I could do here and do a screen share and get my PowerPoint or whatever it is. The one thing that is different from this and like GoToWebinar is if you change from one application to another, you need to remember to go over here and share the new application. It's not a let's watch the whole screen and whatever's on the screen is live. Usually. I think you can set it up to do that. It's just something to be aware of. All right. That, my friend, is Webinar Ignition. It runs webinars. It has some advantages. It will show, I mean, I've been on a Google Hangout, which is what Webinar Ignition uses, with 10,000 people. So rather than the 1,000-person limit, you can have a lot of people watching you. And it's a one-time cost. You're not paying monthly. You are, you paid less than $100, and you have a webinar system where you can get nice professional-looking sign-up pages. You can get people added to your list. You can send emails to them. It's a very nice system. Would like to see some better comments. Someday it'd be nice to see the hands raised and to be able to, the Hangouts right now, not Hangouts on Air, but Hangouts can dial a phone, and they can actually dial the free conference call. So you could get people from all over the world, much more than the 10. You could say, okay, I want the person from Australia to talk, and they could unmute themselves, and you could get, you could make people active rather than just having 10. You could get the voice, then we could actually, go look at their website if we wanted to and whatever. But that's off in the future, and I'm sure they're adding lots and lots of things over time. But Webinar Ignition makes a nice wrapper so that you can do webinars whenever you want to, professionally, and they are automatically, and I haven't even covered that, they are automatically saved to YouTube. They're automatically converted, rendered, and they will be up. And one of the steps you really need to go to if you want them private is go to your YouTube channel and make them private. But that finished product will now be in the replay, and it's pretty much automatic. It happens without any effort on your part. So there's no rendering and then uploading and getting ready and whatever. It's already on YouTube. It's already ready to view. So hope you've enjoyed this. I'm really liking Webinar Ignition, and I'm really liking having a platform that I can do webinars whenever I need to or want to. And we'll see you on the air. Bye-bye now.